I never understood why Ford never sold the previous generation of the Ford Ranger Raptor here in the United States, because to me that looked fantastic, had the capability, the sizing was proper for trails like we're on right now. But now, thankfully for 2024, we finally have the 2024 Ranger Raptor being sold here in the United States, and this one comes in shelter green. Here we have a 3-liter EcoBoost engine, 405 horsepower, front and rear lockers as well. I think it looks fantastic, looks a lot better than the normal Ranger in my opinion, specifically the front end. So what we're gonna do in this video is, of course, take a look at this beauty from a front, side, and rear, talk about the interior, and then last but not least, we're gonna take this for a drive. The Ford Ranger Raptor is powered by a 3-liter EcoBoost V6, putting out 405 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque, connected to a 10-speed automatic. 4-wheel drive, of course. You have both front and rear locking differentials. 0 to 60 takes about 5.9 seconds. However, the fuel economy here, 16 city, 18 highway, not the best. The pricing for this, the base price is $55,620. Starting with the front end design of the 2024 Ford Ranger Raptor, what I love about this design is just how different it looks from a normal Ranger. We have the Ford letters spelled out instead of just a Ford logo in the center. We have the front mounted camera right here. And I also think that the normal Ranger feels like it has a rubber band that they just grabbed from here and just folded over and clamped onto the front end. This has such a much cleaner design with the separation here from the top part. Then we have the grille separation of the shelter green bumper right here. Looking beautiful. Overall, I think the styling for this is such a massive upgrade compared to the previous Ranger. And overall, the Raptor just adds to that aggressiveness that we want in a Raptor. This one is equipped with the graphic package, meaning that we do have graphics on the rear end of the bed and also here in the front end. Further down, we have skid plates. Obviously, this being a Raptor, we have 10.7 inch of ground clearance, front and rear lockers. However, this plate for the fuel tank is actually made out of plastic. I'm not sure how well that is gonna work out if you go on some really rough trails and happen to go over a big boulder. But we have full LED headlights here. Love the daytime run light. However, why isn't the daytime run lights here amber? I want to have these be in this orange amber Raptor color to make it stand out even more from the rest of the Ranger lineup. However, everything is full LED projector lights, and also LED fog lights down here all the way at the bottom. This is also 4 inches wider than the regular Ranger. You can see that here with these Raptor chamfers that we have in the Bronco, we have it in the F-150, and it comes back here in the Ranger as well. Beautifully done. However, I would also want to have the amber position lights right here in the middle. That is a requirement if your truck is wider than 80 inches. However, this misses the mark by ½ an inch. This one is 79.5 inches. I would still do some aftermarket touches here, and in these slots right here, we have the slots already available here. It looks like just put some amber lights in there in addition to making this daytime run light amber as well. Coming around to the side view of the 2024 Ranger Raptor, I love the proportions of this thing. It has this clear 3-box design that I've talked so much about. We also have functional air extractors right here and also up here on the hood, looking very cool. When it comes to the wheel and tire setup for the 2024 Ranger Raptor, these are 33-inch tires. I don't think I would personally want to go up to 35s. It looks good with 33s with the 17-inch wheels. I would want to have the $1,500 option that is the beadlock capable wheels. It just looks so much cooler, but this still looks good. 17 inches feels like the right size of wheels for this type of truck. When it comes to the suspension, we do have Fox Live struts, making this a very comfortable ride, 2.5 inches. We also have 360-degree camera mounted here. The camera system in this truck is absolutely fantastic. Specifically, if you go off-road, you have the front camera with the trajectory lines. I'm going to show you that in a minute. Love the beefy fender flares that we have here, just adding some width and a proper stance to this truck. Specifically, looks so good out here in shelter green. You can see the graphic package, something that you might want to have on your Raptor. I personally would definitely get it. I just think it just looks cool to have the sticker on there. If I were to pick a favorite view for the Ranger Raptor, it's going to be the 3/4 rear view. I love the design of the taillights, full LED LED here as well. Even the indicator is LED. We have the Raptor badge right here. I would like it to spell out Ford here like it does in the front end. Instead of having this big Ford logo in the middle, at least it's blacked out. It would look very strange if this was blue. All the way down, this is my favorite feature of the rear end, the dual exhaust pipes, symmetrical. It sounds really good as well. You have 4 different levels for the exhaust, and the Baja mode is the loudest one. It sounds really good. It's not too aggressive when it comes to the exhaust, but it just sounds right. Now, looking at the details of the taillights here, love how it's stylized like this, and also the big indicator right here. We have this black piece here that houses the blind spot radar inside of this black piece. Overall, it creates a very unique and also a very modern looking taillight that definitely looks a lot better and definitely more modern than the previous generation Ranger. Folding down the tailgate here, by the way, this rear view camera is mounted right here in the bezel for the Ford logo. So folding this down, there's something special going on here. This has a spring-in bed liner. I do believe that's a $500 option. Have some outlets here, for example, a 12-volt outlet right there, and that's about it for the bed. So with that said, let's jump in and have a look at this interior, because I feel like this interior feels so much more premium and more classy, better put together than the regular Ranger by a lot. So let's jump in there and have a look at what's going on in the interior. Welcome to the gorgeous interior of the 2024 Ford Ranger Raptor. It's an absolutely beautiful place to be, and even though we do have a big Mach-E screen here, so let's fire this up. We have 12.3-inch gauge cluster, 12.3-inch infotainment screen as well. Everything works perfectly in here. There are a couple of buttons that I wish were still physical. For example, the front and rear locker. You have to go into the software to switch those on and off. But other than that, the material choices in here, we have soft touch material up here. Feels almost like some Alcantara style material up top. Then we have a different texture here. We have a small little compartment right in front of the passenger. We have this code orange coming back as an accent color for the Raptor. I think that looks very cool because it's a very dark interior otherwise. Now, looking at this infotainment screen here, as I said, you have a bunch of different things you can do in here. For example, you have all the camera views here, the off-road cameras. You can switch them up and check out all the angles, the tow hook angles, the side views, the front end, the rear fisheye lens, whatever you want. Very easy to see where your truck is positioned when you have the camera settings on. And we can also go in and check out all these connectivity, general vehicle driver assistance settings. All of these settings are inside of this software. You still have the zone lighting, which is one of my favorite features of Ford trucks. You can turn this on and you can light up all around the perimeter of the truck. For example, if you decide to go off-road at night, you can still light up the area around you. Pretty cool feature. Going back to the home screen here, we also have this sketch pad. So if you feel like you have the urge to sketch some cars, you can still do that in your Ford Ranger Raptor. Pretty cool feature. Not sure why you were gonna use that for specifically, but it's cool that it's there. You have wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto as well. You have a towing setting here. But the thing is, if you want to, I was trying to figure out how do I turn on the lockers here. So you have to press this button down here, which pops up the front off-road camera with the trajectory lines. And here you have the front and rear lockers. And here, this is where you're gonna turn them on and off. You also have the hill descent control, trail control as they call it here. Here as well, you see the PSI for the tires. You can also go in and check the tilt and the angle for the truck. You can do that here, or you can do that in the gauge cluster as well. So pretty useful screen. I like Ford software. I think it works really great. You have the climate control settings down here as well in the software, but if you want to, you can still use the physical knobs and dials down here to adjust the fan speed and the temperature and so on. Heated steering wheel and heated seats. No cooled seats or ventilated seats in this Ford Ranger Raptor. A very simple layout for the climate control setting. And this is all I want. Just this little piece for cars that has big screens like this. Just a knob for the temp, a couple of buttons for the fans, and that's pretty much all I need. I like the texture here of the vents. They have this very rugged looking texture to it, looking pretty cool. Also like the overall integration of the screen. Even though it's a 12.3-inch infotainment screen, it looks well integrated in the truck overall. Further down here, you do have this rubberized rubberized wireless charging pad. You have a USB-C, a USB, some more storage here, some grab handles, I guess, these little small handles down here. Another detail that I'm not used to yet, it's gonna take a while for me to get used to, is the gear selector right here. So if you want to put it, we're in park right now, if you want to put it in reverse, you have to press the button that sits right here in the front of the gear selector. I'm used to pushing it with my thumb, but if you do that, you're gonna press the manual mode for the drive mode. So if you press this M here on the side, it's actually gonna go into manual mode and you can use these paddles. I would kind of want to switch those buttons up to have the manual be the front button and the switching gears be the thumb button. Putting it back into reverse here, as you can see, again, the 360 cameras pop up. Pretty good resolution for this type of vehicle. Putting it back into park, we do have two cup holders here. This is what the key looks like. Nothing really special about this key except for that it says Raptor on the back side right there. Parking brake, and we have these buttons here: parking assist, traction control on and off, turning on and off the automatic shut off at red lights if you want to do that. And you have this looks like a Ranger in the desert, and if you press that, that's what I talked about. That's where you go in and you can figure out the front and rear lockers. For example, you can see all these off-road settings in the screen by pressing this button. To the right here, you have the drive mode selector, which is this big wheel. So I do believe you have 7 different drive modes. You have normal, off-road, Baja, rock crawl, sport, tow haul, or slippery. So you have a bunch of different drive modes here. You also have the option to put it into 4 high, 4 low, 4 auto, or 2-wheel drive. I like the graphics a lot when you go through all of these drive modes. It looks very, very clean. Now moving on to the gauge cluster itself here, this is what I want to see again with digital gauge clusters. We have a nice, beautiful housing to it. The gauge cluster itself, the display sits deep within the dash, and it is fully customizable. So you can have whatever information you want here. You can have the off-road information, you can have driver assist, or the map if you want to do that. This is a great gauge cluster for what it is, a completely pixelated cluster with still a big tachometer on the left side and a big speedometer on the right side with some additional gauges up top for some different temp levels. Looking beautiful. Ford has done a great job with the gauge clusters in their trucks. Moving on to the steering wheel here, again, love the code orange that comes back here with the 12 o'clock marker up top. We have the Raptor inside of the plastic of the steering wheel, looking very, very cool. Metal shifters, I like that a lot. It brings up the quality for this truck. We also have all these buttons here. So if you want to switch up the steering feel, you have normal, comfort, and sport. You can do that with this button here. You can also switch out the suspension settings here from normal, sport, and Baja. In addition to the exhaust notes, if we go into Baja, it's going to get a little bit louder and it's going to sound very, very cool. Sounds great in Baja. So you have all these buttons here, which is great. You don't have to go into the software to switch that up. So I think that's a good idea if you go off-road. You don't have to take your hands off the steering wheel to switch out the steering, suspension, or the exhaust note. On the left side, you have the controls for the adaptive cruise control and the radio settings, in addition to the voice commands and volume. Now looking at these seats, specific for the Raptor, beautiful code orange accents in the seats themselves. They are a little bit on the firmer side, but they do have great bolstering. It looks almost like sports car seats. Raptor in the back here as well. In addition to the code orange stitching and these lines on the sides, we have some Alcantara right here in the middle. And these are, of course, power adjustable. Looking up top, we have a bunch of auxiliary switches here. If you want to hook up some lights or some train horns or something like that, you can do that with these switches up here. We have some storage for your sunshades, couple of lights here, and the controls for opening the back window is located right here. Folding this down, you do have a mirror with some lighting here as well. However, no sunroof is available at all. You can't even option for a sunroof for the Ranger Raptor. And Ford said that the demand wasn't high enough for them to even consider it. I think that's a good idea. I don't need a sunroof in this truck. So to me, it's totally fine. I forgot to mention, we also have 2 glove boxes here, one up top and one down low. And if you need more storage, you're gonna find that right here underneath the center armrest with this little piece that you can take out if you want to and clean it up. And it is very soft, super spongy armrest, super comfortable to have on longer road trips. With that said, let's jump into the back seat and let's see what's going on back there. Alrighty, jumping into the back seats. First of all, we have this massive side step here that says Raptor on it. Makes it very easy to jump in here. And me being 6'1", 6'2", I do have, it's sort of cramped in here being behind my own driving position. I could probably fiddle around with my position here to be comfortable for a longer drive, but it's a little bit tighter than I was expecting. You also have this pocket down here, a couple of USBs, one USB-C, one USB regular, 12-volt house outlet. If we fold down the center armrest, you do find yourself 2 cup holders right here in the middle. Fantastic. All right, driving the 2024 Ford Ranger Raptor. Under the hood, as I said in the beginning, we have a 3-liter EcoBoost V6 putting out 405 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque connected to a 10-speed automatic. I think it sounds great. 0 to 60 is done in about 5.8, 5.9 seconds. And I do think I have it in Baja right now. What I love about these drive modes is they're very different from each other. If you have it in Baja, for example, it just soaks up everything in the road and it's so comfortable. But if you have it in Sport, it almost feels too stiff for the ride. It feels like an old truck with very firm dampers. I love to have it in Baja. It's just so smooth and goes over these obstacles, no problems at all. And I mean, this is what the Ranger Raptor was made for. Just trails like this, just have some fun. It's small, nimble, way more nimble than an F-150 Raptor, for example. This is so much more fun to just drive around on these type of trails. No problems whatsoever. I don't have any locking differentials. We don't really need that for this specific area here. And we also have the cameras, the fantastic cameras that Ford provides for this Ranger Raptor. Just shows you exactly where the wheels are going to go, making it very easy to figure out where exactly you're positioning the truck. And if you want to, you can also go into the different views here. Let's see if we press the camera button. Right there, now you have a bunch of different views here. You have the rabbit eye, the fisheye lens, the exact wheel positioning as well. So for off-roading, I don't think it gets much better than this, honestly. As I said when I talked about the interior, to go into manual, you don't press any buttons here, which would feel more natural to me. Instead, you press this side button with your thumb. So we can go into manual here and just see how this 10-speed gearbox shifts. Love that it's that the pedals are metal. It makes it feel a little bit more high quality, and it is so much fun on these trails here. It just feels so capable, and it feels like you can toss this around because of its size. There we go. Nice, nice. 405 horsepower in this type of package, even though it weighs, I think it's like 600 pounds more than a normal Ranger. So it's a lot heavier, but 405 horsepower feels like the sort of the right number for this truck, honestly. I don't feel like I need more power than this. Still goes like crazy into the puddles. I always forget that I do have all these cameras to see exactly where I'm going. Let's put it back into front view so you can see what's going on here. Pedals are pretty responsive. Yeah, downshifts are quick too. What a fun little truck this is. And I think they just nailed the exterior design. I would just want to have the amber lights. That is something that I would probably put on as an aftermarket piece. Because it is, after all, a Raptor. Raptor should have amber lights, in my opinion. Got a little tail happy if you want to, if you turn the traction control off. Super fun truck to drive on roads like this. There's a black squirrel in front of me. I don't think I've ever seen a black squirrel. Look at that thing. That's so cool. All right, put it back in the manual. Oh yeah. So overall, I think this is the complete package. If you don't want a full-size truck, but you still want a off-road capable truck that looks great and has all the features that you need, the front and rear lockers, the Fox suspension, and the ride height, the 10.7-inch ground clearance, this is the truck for you. And for the base price of $55,000, I do think it's a really good deal if, and this is a big if you manage to find one at MSRP right now. That is, I think, the big problem at the moment with the Ranger Raptor. They just mark them up like crazy, like 70K, which is insane. Probably just wait 6 months or something like that if you want to get one. Or if you manage to find one for MSRP, that will be even better.